Thank you all for joining us again. I see that we have a few hands raised in the audience. So if you have any questions, please go ahead and put them in the Q&A box so that we can get to them. And before I pivot to our keynote speaker, I do just want to make one announcement, which is that we are putting those Dirty Immigration Lawyer t-shirts back on sale. So we are wearing that badge with a lot of pride, and we'll be circulating that link. I want to welcome Congressman Jeffries tonight, and thank Congressman Jeffries again for all the support that he has shown us, starting with that first frantic, panicked night at JFK Airport when we showed up and we weren't sure what to do, but we figured it out. And I think you got 2 people, if I'm not mistaken, released that night before we could get the injunction in place, before the other attorneys could get the injunction in place. And we're just grateful for your support. And we're so proud to see you in Congress and everything you're doing and representing not just the people of Brooklyn, but our profession and showing them what can be done. So thank you so much for joining us tonight, Congressman.
Well, thank you so much, Camille, for what you do, and congratulations to you and to all of the attorneys, to IARC on this inaugural launch of the not-for-profit, the extension of the work that has been done for over 3 years, and of course, an extension of the work that you all have collectively undertaken on behalf of the immigrant community in such a phenomenal way. It's an honor and a privilege to be asked to participate. That was in many ways a real magical day and a magical weekend where people from all across the country rose up to say, this is not the America that is acceptable to us, and we are going to do whatever is necessary from this moment forward to ensure that our vision, consistent with the vision that is broad and inclusive of what America should be, is the one that ultimately prevails. It's my honor to chair the House Democratic Caucus, which is now the most diverse legislative caucus in the history of the country. And as a result of our diversity, we are now the most diverse Congress in American history. More women serving in Congress than ever before, more African Americans, more Latinos, more Asian Americans, more members of the LGBTQ community, 2 Muslim American women, and 2 Native American women serving in Congress for the first time in American history. We recognize that our diversity is a strength. It is not a weakness. That is the case in America. We are a nation of immigrants, a gorgeous mosaic of people from throughout the world. We may have come over on different ships, but as John Lewis would often remind us, we're all in the same boat now. We're white, we're black, we're Latino, we're Asian, we're Native American, we're Christian, we're Muslim, we're Jewish, we're Hindu, we're believers, we're non-believers, we're gay, we're straight, we're young, we're older, we're women, we're men, we're citizens, we're dreamers. Out of many, we are one. That is what makes America a great country. And no matter what xenophobic behavior is coming out of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, we're not going to let anyone take that away from us. That's what you represent. Not now, not ever. And in many ways, that first weekend, a lot of us realized that, as we sometimes say on the streets of Brooklyn, it's on. Trump was inaugurated. He talked a lot of talk on the campaign trail. But a lot of people were unclear as to what would actually become a policy reality. It was inaugurated that previous Monday, I believe. And then, of course, the Friday of that weekend, the Muslim ban is announced. And it was at that moment where many of us realized that all of the diabolical things that were said on the campaign trail wasn't just campaign rhetoric. It was a reality. It was their vision for America. And for me, the intensity that has been existing here in Washington and for all of us throughout the country during the Trump administration was brought about that first weekend, where the Muslim ban had become an actuality. And members of Congress from all across the country, Jerry Nadler and Nydia Velasquez, Yvette Clarke, so many others in New York, went to JFK. Others went to Newark Airport. Some went to LAX. Some went to Dulles in Virginia. Others went to BWI. International airports across the country. We were there as members of Congress, but what was a beautiful thing to see, which I personally experienced at JFK, was to see the legal advocates and the lawyers who showed up and formed a public interest law firm right there at John F. Kennedy International Airport in such a phenomenal way. And that, at the end of the day, is what I think the legal profession at its best is all about. And we saw it that weekend. Many of us, of course, went to law school to make the world a better place, to use our training and our skills and the ability that we acquired in the art and science of the law to try to help those who are in a vulnerable situation, help those who are being targeted, help the least, the lost, and the left behind, to lift up the best traditions of America and push back against the worst traditions that the president and others are trying to bring about. And so that was really what that initial weekend represented. And what I'm thankful about is that the effort didn't just go away, that it's continued, it's gotten stronger. That's what IARC represents. And that's absolutely what's going to be necessary if at the end of the day we are going to prevail. Because I'm convinced, as we saw with the initial Muslim ban and the continued iterations, some of which have been knocked down by the courts, others of which have been affirmed, which is why the House moved on the No Ban Act, so we can make it clear that this type of religious discrimination or discrimination targeting certain immigrant communities is intolerable, unacceptable, unconscionable, and un-American. That's why we're going to make it unlawful. But what we've learned from this is that the other side, those who want to move the country backward, those who are trying to preserve their narrow vision of what America should be, each and every day, go to bed thinking about what schemes they can execute the next morning with diabolical intensity. That's what the Muslim ban represented. And what we've got to be prepared to do, as all of you have done, is to match that intensity and exceed that intensity in order to bring about an inclusive America, in order to bring about the America that embraces the notion out of many, we are one, that our diversity is a strength. It's not a weakness. It's why we have become the greatest country in the world. It's because of the fact that we are a melting pot. And people come here and think they have a fighting chance to pursue the American dream regardless of the barriers that exist. That's not to say that we don't have challenges, particularly in the area of racial justice. We have come a long way. We still have a long way to go. Systemic racism has been in the soil of America for 401 years. And we still have work to do to make sure that every single American, regardless of race, regardless of immigration status, regardless of ethnicity, regardless of national origin, regardless of zip code, has an opportunity to succeed, to provide a comfortable way of life for themselves and for their families. That's That's the broadest vision of America, supported by a majority of the American people. But we, of course, have those in power who want to push things in a different direction. So the stakes are incredibly high. But I'm confident at the end of the day that as long as a handful of folks step up in the way that you have done and endeavor to continue to do, as Dr. King once said, the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice. And I think what Dr. King was saying is that in this world, you've got some good folks and you've got some rough folks. But in order for righteousness and justice and fairness and equality and goodness to prevail, all you really need at the end of the day is a few good folks to step up, step out, and step into a situation in order to turn it around. And if we continue to do so, at the end of the day, we're going to be able to continue America's long, necessary, and majestic march toward a more perfect union, uphold the rule of law, uphold the principle of liberty and justice for all, uphold the principle of equal protection under the law, as you have done and as we will continue to do. And together, we're going to make America the best that it can possibly be. So God bless you, God bless IARC, and God bless the United States of America.
Thank you, Congressman, for those inspiring words. And we stand here ready to work with you and all of your colleagues in Congress to make sure that that happens for all New Yorkers. So we appreciate it, and thank you for taking the time to come by tonight.
Thank you.